Hey guys, Rick and Laura here again for Legal Talk Tuesday. And today is kind of our wild card week. If you watch us regularly, you know we try to hit on all of the topics that that we offer, all of the practice areas that we offer, and we also try to stay up with current times. And so if there's something pressing that we feel that you may want to hear more about or that we can provide some value on, we kind of shift gears and use this week actually to do that. And so it is not Family Law Week, even like because Laura usually does it. So I'm also here this week. But we do want to talk to you guys about divorce today because you've probably all heard the jokes and may even kind of be in that situation yourself about, how the pandemic has, led to a lot of high profile divorces and other divorces. And so we want to make sure that everyone is prepared. So we decided on our freebie week here that we were both going to hop on and we were going to talk to you guys about divorce. So going through divorce can be really overwhelming. There are a lot of uncertainties, but working with your divorce lawyer should not be one of those uncertainties. I'm a little partial, but Laura is amazing. And she is our divorce lawyer here at MyVirtual.Lawyer, O'Brien and more. And so today we're going to talk about 5 things that you should ask your divorce lawyer. And really, this is Laura's show, but I'm going to be here too to say a few things.
Well, I would not be here without Brooke starting the law firm in the first place. So I am doing divorces by herself for the first few years until I came on, and I actually like working with family law clients. Not that she didn't mean to imply, imply that, but I
love it. My favorite.
I really enjoy helping families that want to stay either, get separated and divorced amicably, where they're not fighting and they're not being mean to each other and all that stuff. But I really care about kids and want to make sure that they're put at the forefront whenever the parents are going through divorce, that kind of thing. So first thing we're going to talk about is step number 1 that you should ask your divorce attorney and talk about with your divorce attorney is how will you and the attorney or the attorney staff that you're working with communicate? Poor communication is the top complaint that clients have about lawyers. And that is even more so in family law cases because it's an emotional time for you. And so you want to talk about it. And it's, that's very difficult because attorneys are very busy and that kind of fun stuff. But they also, just in general, a lot of them have really poor methods of communication. If it's just by phone, if it's just, trying to answer a voicemail, that kind of thing, it really is pushed to the bottom of a list in a lot of ways. So your case is important and it really should be treated that way. Sometimes there's the legitimate reason that you may not hear from your lawyer. Kind of like I said, they might be in court for a week-long trial. You just never know. But, and especially like if nothing's happening in your case, that kind of thing, because people who have talked to me or talked to Brooke know that there's a 30-day waiting period in Arkansas that's required anyway. Sometimes there's not much need to communicate during that time, but even with those legitimate reasons, if you do reach out to your lawyer, it's really unacceptable to be completely ignored or not hear back for multiple days or even weeks sometimes. We get calls about that on a regular basis, and we can't talk to people because they're already represented by counsel. So make sure that you establish communication guidelines up front. You need to understand how you can communicate with your attorney. How your lawyer will communicate with you is that via phone, via email, via client portal like we do here at MyVirtual.Lawyer, O'Brien and more, as well as the lawyer's policy on returning your calls and messages. Those are important things to know on the front end representation instead of having to figure it out kind of along the way.
Absolutely. And number 2, what are the fees? And so that gives a lot of people anxiety, but there are a few questions that you could ask that will help you because you should know what you are going to be paying. So does the lawyer charge a retainer up front? Does your lawyer bill hourly or flat fee? If it's a flat fee, they need to define what a flat fee is to them, what's included, what that means, how you move from different steps in the case. Is a flat fee just, a fee for X amount of time or X amount of services, or is it a flat fee that is going to cover your entire matter? So you need to ask that. Most attorneys are still hourly. I mean, generally speaking, attorneys hate billable hours as much as clients hate being billed by the hour. Obviously, there are reasons that attorneys still do that. But I'm actually really surprised when I talk to people by the amount of people who do not know their lawyer's actual billable hourly rate. So you should know that. They can at least give you that, like what they're going to bill you by the hour, and then ask for what you're going to be charged for. So you may be calling or emailing or responding quickly to an email and think that, well, they emailed me and it was just a short response, and, you're billed for 15 minutes of time. And so because they've emailed you or they've read it. And so you want to know what's included, but you also want to know, what's not included. So that way, that you're can expect that bill. And then how will you be billed? Are you going to get an email, an invoice? Is it going to be auto drafted? How frequently are you going to be billed? Is that going to be monthly, biweekly, etc.? And also, who will you be working with in the actual firm? Because fees do vary. So if you're working with a solo or small firm, generally everybody's pretty much billing the same. For bigger firms, small firms, even some small firms will bill you based on the actual person that's working on your case. So if you have a paralegal working on your case, they're going to bill at a lower hourly rate than if the senior partner is, working on your case. So you want to know, how that breaks down and who's going to be working on your case as well.
Number 3 is, does your lawyer have a client agreement? And if they do, what does it say? Now, you should not have somebody represent you for something legal without a client agreement. So if you're doing that, stop it and get a client agreement with your attorney. But more importantly, also, what does it say? It's really necessary to read that client agreement, because there's information in there that is super important to you and how you're going to work with your attorney. You should always have a written and detailed contract with your attorney. These protect both you and your attorney. So it's just, if you don't have a written agreement, that is just paramount. It's very, very important. The agreement should detail the relationship. It should include payment information, services the lawyer is going to perform for you, anything that is not included in their representation, and generally outline the relationship and any specific needs in your particular case. Also, make sure that there are clear directions on how the relationship ends, because you have the right to end a relationship, but so do they. So make sure that there are clear directions and information about how you can end how the relationship ends.
Yeah, I'm also surprised by the amount of people that say they don't have an agreement with their attorney in writing. So number 4, what is the plan and strategy? Not only do you want to find out if you actually even have a case, what your rights are, what you're entitled to, you need to know what the plan is. So, it's a lawyer's job to use his or her legal brain to really create a strategy that's best going to support you in your legal matter. But you should be involved in the process, or at least in the know. So it may be really tempting, especially in an emotional situation, to just hand over your case to the lawyer and wish for the best. But knowledge really is power, and it's going to help you be less frustrated as well, because you don't want to give all that power away. The plan may change a bit as your case moves along because of different things that happen along the way, but an experienced lawyer can also foresee some of the possible problems in your case and provide that information to you early on. And so, we've had, heard attorneys say, "Oh, just give it to me and I'll handle it." And that's fantastic. Yes, if you need that, that's great to have that support. But again, it is power to know, and it's less frustrating when you know the process and what's going on. Also, if your lawyer comes out initially in your divorce, unless it is absolutely, completely necessary in your case, if they come out guns blazing, walk out of the office. Like, that is just a red flag for me. So, for example, in a divorce case, you can discuss things you agree on, and a lawyer is going to suggest going all in for leverage. that may actually harm your case. It may be a good idea to do it, just depending on your matter, but it could create unnecessary conflict. And so if I were you, what I would do is just question that motive there, especially if that lawyer is billing you by the hour. Because again, as I said earlier, lawyers have a different motive for billing by the hour. And so you want to make sure that you know what's going on in the case, you know what the plan is, that back to the communication Laura talked about, that it's clearly communicated to you, but that you have some of that power and that you are understanding each step in the process and why you're doing things the way that you're doing things.
And I'll just add to that, both Brooke and I have practiced family law in our past lives in a different way, where we worked with other attorneys really close and directly. And it is really hard for me, and I know it is for Brooke too, to work with somebody who has that mentality of, well, my clients don't think that I'm representing them well if I am not a jerk to you. And that's just not helpful for anybody. It's honestly not. I understand their situations. I did domestic violence divorce. There are situations where you have to be, sometimes combative and, that kind of thing, but it's not the standard default for all divorce situations. So it's really important to kind of keep in mind what their persona is, like how they are when you have that meeting with them. Number 5 is, what is the process? That's another important question to ask your attorney. And it goes along with what Brooke was saying earlier. Just because you hired a lawyer does not mean that you need to know what's going on. That's kind of that's a hard one, because you should know what's going on. So sometimes that's what the lawyer's going to say, kind of like what Brooke said, just, you go and let me handle this for you. But your lawyer really should detail out the process for you and explain different things that may possibly happen along the way. There really should be no surprises in divorce process. You don't see surprises in litigation, in court cases like you do on TV and movies, because a lot of stuff is just known beforehand. And especially an experienced divorce lawyer really knows what could happen, and their goal should be to protect you from all the possibilities of things that could happen in the future. You should know all of this at the start, and a reasonable amount of time before any major milestones in your case, like a hearing or your final divorce hearing, or temporary hearings along the way, that kind of thing. When you're going through a divorce, it is really emotional, and it's oftentimes very difficult. Whether or not you agree with your spouse and you guys both agree, it's still going to be difficult. The lawyer should not add to your stress. I cannot say that enough. Your lawyer should not add to your stress. You should know what to expect. You should know what can possibly happen, what all of your options are, and you should be fully prepared for any hearings, depositions, interactions with your case. So those are just some really important things to know along the way, that you really should be in the know.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for joining us today. We just wanted to share those 5 things with you to kind of break it down, so that way you know what to ask. We know it can be kind of intimidating when you have to talk to an attorney. Again, especially with divorce, it's an emotional situation. And so hopefully that helps you start thinking about, if you're thinking of a divorce, it helps you kind of plan out what you need to talk to any potential attorneys that you're interviewing or talking to. And so we will be here next Tuesday. I don't know what the date.
I think we're going to take a break.
We're going to skip next Tuesday. Thank you. You're like, no, we're taking a break. You're like, yeah. Next week, yes. Next week is 4th of July week. So we are not going to be here next Tuesday. So happy 4th of July. But the following week, we will be back here on Tuesday, whatever date in July, at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. Thanks, Laura. You guys have a good week.